The 13 goats of golf. Why 13? Goodness sakes. Isn't there only one greatest of all time? Well, maybe, and maybe not. Things change over the centuries, don't they now? Up on top there, left-hand corner, you can see Harry Vardon. Very upright stance, kind of formal stance actually. Has his hands down on the clubs a little bit. Of course, that's not a short club he's swinging there. Um, and then down here you see Tiger, very different swing. The beautiful V his arms make, the dip of the shoulder, the way the hands rotate through. You know what? They had different types of clubs, and both of them in their day were certainly the goats. There's no question about that. And really, how do you separate one golfer from another? There are people like uh, Billy Casper, who you know won an enormous number of tournaments, and Kerry Middlecoff. These guys win lots and lots and lots of tournaments. They just don't happen to win the majors, or at least not many of them. And so, who can stand up to the stress? The 16 tons of number nine coal that's pouring down on your shoulders as you're looking at a 4-footer on 18 to win. So, only 13 golfers can be said to have masters. And those golfers, masters, the majors began in 1860. These 13 golfers win 25% of all these big tournaments since 1860. That's remarkable. I doubt that there's any other sport. And this is like Secretariat had an 8-year, 10-year career. You just can't do it. And yet, of course, it's done. Jack Nicklaus, obviously, 18 majors. One of my favorite stories about Nicklaus has nothing to do with winning, it has to do with losing, but it's how he lost. The duel in the sun with Tom Watson in 1977. Watson's a stroke up on the 18th, up coming to the 18th. It's his approach shot, 2.5 feet from the pin. Nicklaus has a terrible eye, muscles it onto the green, 35 feet from the hole. And Watson's caddy says something like, "Well, we've got it." And Tom says, "Well, no, Jack's going to sink this putt." And he did. I'm going to sink a 35-foot putt anytime, but to sink a 35-foot putt with all the pressure of a British Open on the line, amazing. Tiger, what can we say about Tiger? Absolute coolness and fire. Known for his length, but really one of the top 3 or 4 putters of all time. And I think probably in the majors, he was the best putter of all. Walter Hagen played before there were 4 majors, nevertheless won 11. So Hagen took the game to a new place. Hagen was flamboyant, and he could play with anybody. I suppose that had there been a Masters for him in those days, he would have been up there with Jack and Tiger in terms of numbers one. Ben Hogan, the wee little Iceman, as the Scots call him. Most of you know, but of course some don't. He had his legs crushed in an automobile accident. Somebody was going to hit him head on. He saw him coming, threw his body in front of his wife. His legs were, of course, left behind. They were crushed by the accident. They had to tie off the arteries in his legs because he kept developing blood clots. He won the majority of his majors after the accident. And you can imagine what his legs felt like as he went around golf courses for 72 holes. Gary Player, our health advocate on this list. Player, of course, wins 9 majors, but I think the more interesting thing and more revealing thing about Gary Player is that he was from South Africa in the days of apartheid, and he kept getting, letters, we're going to kill you, we're going to shoot you on the whatever hole, and so on and stuff like that. Because of course he not meaning to, but did represent apartheid South Africa. If you're putting on those greasy greens in the U.S. Open, you don't want to be thinking about whether or not somebody's about to shoot you. Of course, player played through it. And is just an amazing spectacle of a resilient human being. Tom Watson, has anybody ever sunk more pressure putts than Tom Watson has? And he didn't just cozy the ball up to the hole. He slammed them in. A lot of these putts, if it missed, had gone 7 or 8 foot past, and he said he drops it right in the center of the cup. Very capable guy, very steady player. One of the great moments in Watson's career is the fact that 3 times he took majors away from Nicklaus, and that's cool. That's steady. Harry Vardon, one of the inventors of the game, in a manner of speaking. You can read his book, his instruction book today. I have it. It's almost as valid today as it was back then. But many people don't realize that Vardon, if they even know who Vardon is, but that Harry Vardon, back in the early 1900s, had the yips. He could barely hold a putter, and yet he mastered himself to the way that when he had to sink putts, he did sink putts, despite the fact that his hands were shaking so badly. I think that says a lot about Vardon. Came out of poverty and became one of the great sports figures of the 20th century. Gene Sarazen, Squire, not a natural athlete. Sarazen, just a little rotund here. He was about 5'5" tall, just a little bit over. And he could hit the ball as far as anybody could in those days. And of course, to think of him on the par 5 15th at the Masters, getting down, hitting a long drive, then hitting a shot that clears the pond in front of 15, and then, not only clears the pond, but goes in the hole. Quite something. Bobby Jones, what can we say about Bobby Jones? Played only a few weeks out of the year, really. Took a low time for tournament golf, and otherwise he had a second career. He had a day job. There's a set of strobe photographs of him. You can find them on the internet back in the early 30s. And of course, they do a strobe light as they do the photograph. And if you ever want to see perfection in a swing, go take a look at those strobes. Sam Snead, like Hagen and Hagen and some of the others, born in poverty, hillbilly, and had, of course, one of the great swings of all time. The compliment for Snead from Watson is that Watson had this really tight lie one time, and he's looking at this and hit the ball a very long way, and he said, "I can't hit that shot. Only the Sneads can hit that shot." Coming from Tom Watson, that says something. Palmer, the king. Most of us land in the hospital if we try to swing like Palmer. Packs being wrenched and all that stuff. Nevertheless, Palmer was, he played with not just a joy, but a passionate joy. I don't know if anybody ever enjoyed the game more than Arnold Palmer. Lee Trevino, another one of our figures out of poverty here, learned to play golf well by being the person for a driving range in West Texas. There aren't many people that are that successful, period, from West Texas. So Trevino comes out of this and becomes, of course, one of the great golfers. 6 majors, none of them Masters, by the way. Really, really, really a tough golfer who could hold up under almost anything. And then, of course, the second wee little Iceman, Nick Faldo. Sir Nick got the same type of ice in his veins that Ben Hogan did. and was absolutely imperturbable. I watched him many times. I never saw him even look shaken. This is another guy who just masters himself. Anyway, so those are the 13 goats of golf, and I think they all deserve to be called the greatest of all time, don't you? So everybody take care. We're coming up on another Masters as I record this, and let's hope that it's another great one. Bye-bye.